Back when I was a kid, running every single day was one of my favorite things to do. A part of my childhood, a part of the memories that I can look back on. And one thing that stuck out to me is that no one necessarily taught me how to be quote unquote good at running. I just did it as a kid. When you first learned how to ride a bike, did somebody tell you the exact biomechanics and everything like that on how to ride a bike? No, you got on the bike, you fell, you tried again. But then for some reason, you go on the internet and somebody's telling you this is the right way to do it. You got to do it like this, you got to do it like that, you got to do it like this. You go to another person, you see another opinion, you go to another one over there, and they all contradict each other. But the person who's not listening to 1,000 different voices is going to go much further than the one who is stuck in the theory trap. And that's honestly what I see a lot, where a lot of people think, man, I gotta keep this thing like this, like it's gotta be the most optimal routine and everything like that. But in the long term, they end up thinking more, which can actually hinder their progress in everything. So when I look at it, honestly, it's like so many people could be so much further in their Bible reading have they just read it instead of watching. This is the right way to do it. You need to read this is like that and like this is that. Now, don't get me wrong. Okay, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, you will find the principles of how to read the word in the word. Like you realize later that, oh no, I've gotta listen to what God says, do what He says, whatever He says goes. Like there's just too much of the theory in the sense of, would you rather have somebody who has done a car for multiple years? Maybe he hasn't watched a bunch of videos, but he's done it multiple times. Or would you take the person who has watched 5,000 videos but hasn't even tried one time trying to fix a car? I'm pretty sure we all know the answer to that, right? So I noticed it in myself where not just even just when it comes to reading my Bible, but in terms of other hobbies, other things like that, the best thing to do is to just start. The worst thing you can do is sit and wait for the perfect moment. I need this perfect optimal routine. It's got to be like this, like that. But that's the same thing with, if you want to get better at making videos, guess what you got to do? You got to start. Maybe it won't be the best when you first start, but I can almost guarantee a year or so from now, you'll look back and be like, wow, there's a lot of improvement here. The same thing with my own studies, the same thing with our work. I did not learn until I started. Being demonstrated how to do things, the best for me was to just watch what the people are doing rather than just, oh, let me get all this information, try and learn it all, and then, but then what happens is your brain gets clouded with information which you can't even express. So then it's harder to get results in whatever you want to get. So ultimately, the main thing that has kept me going through life is, if you know, oh man, I'm not good at this, the best thing you can do is start off bad and become a little bit better. I might go from worse to bad instead of, worse to worse, because I didn't start and to begin with. So you'll never know until you start, honestly. And that applies to everything in life. So the ones that you see who don't progress in whatever things that they're going through, obviously I'm more talk about biblical related things, generally are stuck in the mindset of, I gotta have it all together first. But when you start off, you You have to always remember that Christ is first. Let the rest happen. Let Him be your guide in everything that you do. So, regardless of what the others see, what others may think of you, you have to start. So, that's why I feel like simplicity, honestly, rules over complexity. Because if you're complex with whatever approach you're trying to get to, it becomes way, way harder to start because it's already hard on paper. But I also feel like if you can, the easiest way to know that the routine is simple is if you can explain it in just like a sentence or two. Like, what is the objective of your training goal? I want to run fast. What do you do to train? I sprint fast. Rest heavy. That's it. But if you go ahead and give somebody a whole like science lesson between all the mechanics of your sprinting, all that nature, it just leaves the person like, well, what am I looking at here? What's the whole purpose of this? And it can, in a way, push them away from wanting to get into whatever they want to get at. So ultimately, you've got to remember that theory is just theory. And no matter what some scientific study or so forth says, there's always going to be something that somebody proves the theory to be false from trying. That's how we gotta approach it. So stay consistent in your word. Remember that theory can keep you trapped forever if you only focus on it. We've got to take ourselves out of the comfort zone in whatever we do. So, God bless. Please stay out of fury.